Good day, everyone. I am hoping that you are having a good day. In this lesson, we will talk about the basic nutrients. What are these basic nutrients? Okay. When making healthy choices, it is most important to focus on food rather than nutrients. However, it can help to have some insight about the major categories of nutrients. That is why we will learn about the six basic nutrients in this lesson. What are these six basic nutrients? We have here the macronutrients, which we need in larger amounts. I repeat, we need the macronutrients in larger amounts. We also have the micronutrients, which we need in smaller amounts. I repeat, we need the micronutrients in smaller amounts. The macronutrients are the following: we have water, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And the micronutrients are the following: we have vitamins and then minerals. Yes. Based on the dietary guidelines for Americans, MyPlate is useful tool to help you plan or assess your food choices for each category of nutrients. In us here in the Philippines, we actually have this what we call Pinggang Pinoy. So the Pinggang Pinoy will actually help us for us to be able to assess or plan our food choices for each category of nutrients. Now, let's take a closer look to each category. Let's start with water. Water makes up 60 to 75% total body weight. Imagine that. Water is actually 60 to 75% total body weight. This is really vital to keep our engines running. Water is very important to keep our engines running. Intake met with food and beverages. 8 to 10 cups or glasses a day. We should take 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. It is very important to do that every day. Okay. We also have here mhm, carbohydrates. Now, glucose is the best fuel for our brains and bodies, which is what we get from carbohydrates. So we get glucose from carbohydrates and it fuels our brain and our bodies. Carbohydrates include whole grains, vegetables, and then fruits. Now, let's start with grains. The best grains are whole grains like brown rice, buckwheat, bulgur, which is cracked wheat, oatmeal, popcorn, food like corn and flour tortillas or crackers that are made from refined grains. Some are made from whole grains. Okay, we actually have here, check the ingredient list for the words whole grain or whole wheat to decide if they are made from a whole grain or if they are not. So it's very important, no, to take whole grains. An example of those are examples are brown rice, buckwheat, bulgur, oatmeal, popcorn. So it's okay to it's very fine to eat oatmeal, and it is I suggest that we should eat oatmeal instead of a white rice in our breakfast. Okay. Now, the dietary guidelines include a specific recommendation to eat at least 3 servings or ounces of whole grain foods each day. Hmm? It is specifically recommending us to just have 3 servings of whole grains a day. Now, for example, 1 ounce or 1 cup of breakfast cereal. Another example, 1 slice of bread and 1/2 cup of cooked cereal, rice or pasta. But most of us, especially Filipinos, we wanted to eat like 5 cups of rices or a whole plate of rice. And it is recommended for us to have a healthier body. We need to actually eat just 1 slice of bread every day. Okay. Now, choose whole grains over processed or refined grains and sugars. You choose whole grains. Choose whole grain rice, bread, pasta, and cereals. Limit intake of refined carbohydrates such as starches. Examples are pastries, sweetened cereals, and other high sugar foods, especially cakes. So limit your intake in eating cakes and bread that we actually buy from bake shops. We like to eat pandesal. So limit your intake of those kind of grains or those kind of breads because they are starchy. They have lots of starches and they are refined carbohydrates. Now we have here vegetables, 2 and 1/2 cups per day. We are uh, suggested or it is recommended that we should have 2 and 1/2 cups of vegetables per day, especially dark green ones like broccoli and spinach, plus beans, peas, and lentils. Okay, now we also have here fruits. It is recommended that we should have 2 cups per day, huh? 2 cups of fruits per day, especially fresh or frozen. 1 medium apple plus 1 large banana is enough. Oh, it's fine. So it's okay to eat 1 medium apple and then add it with 1 large banana, and your diet is good. Shall we proceed to the next slide? We have here proteins. It gives the structure for muscles. It's very important because if carbohydrates gives us energy or it fuels our body, then proteins now give structure for muscles, bones, and our skin. In general, 1 ounce of meat is equal, or beans is equal to 1 ounce of meat, poultry or fish, then 1/4 cup cooked dry beans, 1 egg. Okay, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Sometimes we actually eat the whole jar of peanut butter. 1/2 ounce of nuts or seeds. Okay, it's recommended to just have 5 and 1/2 ounces of meat, poultry, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and beans per day. Okay, now dairy. It's also recommended to have 3 cups of dairy, like milk, yogurt, so 3 cups per day. To help lower your risk of certain cancers, the American Cancer Society recommends limiting processed meats and red meat. Take note of this. This is very important. To help lower your risk of certain cancers, the American Cancer Society recommends limiting processed meats and red meats. What are we going to choose, the I teacher Alan? What are we going to choose? Choose fish, poultry, or beans instead of beef, pork, and lamb. And if you wanted to eat your meat because you really wanted to eat meat and your body finds it really delicious, if your mouth finds it really delicious, when you eat meat, choose lean cuts and eat smaller portions. Okay, you eat smaller portions of meat so that you'll have a lower risk of having certain cancers. Okay, shall we proceed now? Fats and lipids provide structure and store energy. It helps us to provide structure and store energy. If carbohydrates fuels our body and proteins give structure for muscles, bones, and skin, then fats and lipids provide structure and store energy. Make most of your fat sources from fish, nuts, vegetable oils. Limit butter, margarine, lard, and shortening. Okay, a healthy diet also includes fat, or also called as lipid. Fats provide structure for your body and store energy. This is what I am talking about a while ago. Make most of your fat sources from fish, nuts, and vegetable oils. Limit butter, margarine, shortening, and lard. Now, diets high in fat tend to be high in calories, which can contribute to obesity, which in turn is linked with an increased risk of several types of cancer. Certain types of fats, such as saturated fats, may increase cancer risk. So it's very important that we need to look at the label, the food label of what we are buying, because if there are too much saturated fat, it will actually increase your risk of having cancer. Let's get a better understanding of this, of the types of fats. Okay, we are going to understand more about the types of fats. Go slow, wah, and fats. Okay, unsaturated fats are, oh, well, about that, let's talk about fats and oils provide our bodies with nutrients we need for our hearts. Okay, and transport of vitamins in and around the body. Fats are also filling and tasty. However, fats are also high in calories. Therefore, to maintain a healthy weight, it is important to both reduce fat intake and choose which types of fat to eat. We will go now with the types of fats. Go slow and walk. Unsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats are typically liquid at room temperature but start to turn solid when chilled, like olive oil. Okay. Polyunsaturated fats are typically liquid at room temperature and when chilled. They also include essential fats that your body can't produce itself, such as omega-3 and omega-6, which you must get through food like sardines. When we eat in moderation and used to replace saturated fats or trans fats, both monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats can help lower cholesterol and therefore lower your risk of heart disease. So it's very important to take unsaturated fats. That's why it's go. Go with unsaturated fats. Slow. Let's slow taking saturated fats. Mostly occur naturally in many foods. Mostly from animal sources like meat and dairy. Take note of this. Saturated fats can be found from animal sources like meat and dairy, and also have dietary cholesterol. Some plant foods such as palm kernel oil and coconut oil also contain primarily saturated fats but do not contain cholesterol. Saturated fats are not a necessary part of a healthy diet. Take note of that. Saturated fats are not a necessary part of a healthy diet. They contribute to blocking blood vessels by increasing bad cholesterol or LDL and therefore increase risk of heart disease. So slow your intake of saturated fats. Do not go with dairy and do not uh, eat too much meat. That because it will actually contribute in the blocking of your blood vessels. Whoa! That's a whoa. Trans fats are created in a process that adds hydrogen to liquid vegetable oils to make them more solid. So trans fats are also known as partially hydrogenated oils. Or trans fats, sorry, are also known as partially hydrogenated oils. Trans fats raise your bad or LDL cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol. Eating these increases your risk of developing heart diseases and is also associated with a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So please, dili gyud mag trans fats. Magtake og mga trans fats. Let's get to know it more. Dietary sources of unsaturated fats. We have here first, no? Vegeta- Vegetables, dietary source of monounsaturated fats. These are the monounsaturated fats. Tanaw na to. Vegetable oil such as olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, sunflower oil, and sesame oil, avocados, peanut butter, many nuts and seeds are also sources of monounsaturated fats. So it is good to take these, huh? Because these are unsaturated fats, very good for our diet. Dietary sources of polyunsaturated fats. We have vegetable oils, including soybean oil, corn oil, and safflower oil, fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, herring and trout, some nuts and seeds such as walnuts and sunflower seeds. So those are the sources of unsaturated fats, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Okay, let's have now the dietary sources of saturated fats. These are the food that we need to avoid. Okay, but we really love eating this food because these are all delicious. Dietary sources of saturated fats. Fatty Fatty meats like beef, lamb, pork, poultry with skin, beef fat, lard, full fat dairy foods such as cream, cheese, butter, ice cream, whole and reduced fat, milk, coconut, and palm oil, cocoa butter, many baked goods, and many fried foods. Okay, so let's say goodbye to saturated food, saturated fats rich food. This is not good for our body. So when you teach your pupils someday, you need to let them understand that what they are used to eat are not really good for their body because children nowadays are really fond of eating french fries, love eating ice cream, love eating meat, love eating cake. So we need to teach them to avoid this kind of food. Dietary sources of trans fat. These are also not good for our body. Oh, goodbye potato chips. Dietary sources of trans fats, partially hydrogenated oils, stick margarine or margarine, some tub margarine, shortening na. Oh, fried foods like fries and donuts. Goodbye, Mr. Donuts. Goodbye, Dunkin' Donuts. Chips. Goodbye, chips. Baked goods, including pastries, pie crust, biscuits, pizza dough, cookies, and crackers. So we should say goodbye to this food because these are not good for our body. It may cause or it may actually lead of getting diabetes and heart diseases. We are going to continue this lesson on our next video. So please subscribe and like my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.